Thanks for joining me for this episode of the Wild Sonnets, Poems Out Loud. My name is Nicholas Korn, and I am the poet of the Wild Sonnets, and I'll be reading 3 poems from the Wild Sonnets series. The last poem I'll be reading is one of the most recent that I've written, and one that will be included in the upcoming book, The Wild Sonnets, Volume 7. So let's get started. The first poem is number 47, which is actually from the very first book of the Wild Sonnets. Each book contains 100 poems, and this is the 47th that I wrote for the series, and it's one of my favorites. Wild Sonnet 47. If to be blessed is to be unbroken, and to be holy is to be one thing holy, all hope of heaven I will then forego. There is a God of things imperfect, a divinity of the divided soul. Before this faint Almighty none will kneel, for they have knelt already, ruined, real. What is our failing then but an expectation and an aim that angled otherwise? None of you that read this have not felt the scrape of time. Bear now upon your skin the braille of scar and fold of flesh that heals. I have seen in flight the painted heels of angels, and wondered how such wonder feels. The next poem I'll be reading is from the 4th book of Wild Sonnets, and this is Wild Sonnet number 353. I no longer look for the convenience in anything that comes. Expect the bent furniture of happenstance to angle awkward in my rooms. Sense the outward will not accommodate my shape or hope, and so I let what's fashioned and fit to be wait outside the circle of my certainty. Ease. It is a finch that yellow lives within the nesting of the ribs, flies not too far for food or sky, feels the storm unfolding in the air, and can still defy the pelting that will come, is small of song, and still can call the music home. It knows the cage is anything outside, of random made, or rage. And that's Wild Sonnet number 353. And the last poem I'm going to read is one that I recently completed, and this is Wild Sonnet number 674. We are all walking home in the rain, soaked to the skin with trickle and trouble. The loose shirts we slipped into this morning now cling against us like a second flesh. The hammer and hum of the storm surrounding rushes into the gutters of the ear, here where hurry is useless, as we are too far and wet for worry. Does it not seem as if my body is weeping, the lamentation of my hair streaming like the weather down? Suppose me, if you must, to be a sponge, but see, there is more joy than injury in this, as it is more a baptism than a battering. For the worst that rain can do is lavish on my limbs and make my spirit new. And those are the 3 Wild Sonnets for this episode. I thank you very much for listening. I want you to know that I have placed my own personal poet's comments for each of these poems in the description section of this post, and there's information on both of the books featured here as well. So thanks again for listening, and until we see each other again for the next episode, stay well and stay wild. And as just an additional request, if you would, please subscribe to this channel.